Red Cloth, Chapter 4, Brutal Murder. Tancam doesn't like early mornings in urban areas because she belongs to the night work group. Duong Thi always said that she was old and worked in the morning, in the evening. Her job was to write manuscripts for a periodical. With this job, she doesn't make much money. Previously, when she was head of the city's largest advertising company, her income was quite high. Perhaps at some point, when she goes to the bank to withdraw money by card, she will be surprised to realize that now she can rest. There is no need to work hard to make money anymore, because the amount of money she has is more than enough to borders. She is nursing old age, unless she intends to raise a mistress. After quitting her job at that advertising agency, she began writing novels, not to expect meager compensation or the vanity of having many fans. The important thing is that she wants to rest a bit. From childhood to adulthood, she was so used to having to try alone like a wind-up mainspring, always having to turn forward. Now it can temporarily stop spinning. Things at night made her sleep very late. When I woke up, I saw a series of missed phone calls due to vibration mode. She quickly called Duong Thi back, only to hear the locomotive on the other side being the joyful shouts of a group of people. After listening for a moment, she recognized the voices of Luke An Ki and Lam Ki. Duong Thi eagerly boasted, "I've finished sewing, come and see." "Is luck done? Why is it so fast?" "It's been less than half a day and the sewing is done. It's true that it's okay to have money to buy money." Sewing so quickly, it was enough to see how impatient the three girls were. She hurried away. Looking at the lovely cat lying in the lane, she gently closed the door, not daring to take the black treasure with her because if it ran away again, it would cause a big deal. As soon as she arrived at Duong Thi's house, she quickly ran inside. She suddenly felt an invisible force commanding her, forcing her to devote all her attention to that outfit. She was so nervous that she heard her heart pounding non-stop. It felt like she was dating someone for the first time. Entering the living room, no one was seen. The maids in white uniforms signaled her. Everyone was gathering in the dressing room. She ran away, forgetting to knock on the door. She burst into the clothes rack in the middle of the room. On it hangs a red, sparkling, very trendy cheongsam. Turning around, outside was hanging a very trendy camisole, a headscarf, and a red scarf. Duong Thi eagerly called out, "Tancam, have you ever seen such a beautiful outfit? Quickly change your clothes so we can take a look." Luke An Ki reminded impatiently. Lam Ki smiled and said, "Thi insisted on waiting for you to come before changing, because he wanted you to be the first to see this cheongsam. Now Tancam has arrived. Thi, quickly change your clothes. After changing, we can go to the opening ceremony of Jimmy's pub. Let's go there to make people squint." Tancam felt a bit worried because everything went so smoothly that it was unbelievable. She held the scarf. Due to insufficient fabric, she and Luke An Ki took advantage of the extra fabric to design headscarves and scarves. The camisole is Lam Ki's. There's not much leftover fabric, so this is the best use. Everyone took their own things, feeling very proud in their hearts. When Tancam held the scarf, she felt unusually emotional, just wanting to immediately put the scarf around her neck. She felt like she was holding a pair of soft hands, just wanting to apply it to her face. The smooth fabric makes people very comfortable. Duong Thi was the first person to step out of the dressing room. Absolutely beautiful. As a classmate of Thi's many years in makeup style, Tancam has seen it. It's no exaggeration to say, no matter how many feathers there are on Thi's body, she is also the one who knows best. But today Thi looks completely different, not like mortals anymore. Although the cheongsam is tightly packed, revealing the curves, it is very polite. Under the light, that ravishing red color kept emitting a gentle light. Therefore, wherever Thi went, that place lit up, as if she brought color to the room. The amorous face and sleeveless shirt reveal an ivory arm that makes anyone who sees it want to touch it. Before she could praise Thi, Lam Ki appeared wearing a camisole. The two of them walked together, exuding typical Chinese beauty. They are amorous like the ancient beauty lying in bed, both coy and gentle, a beauty that is not flashy and flamboyant. Tancam joked, "Come on, fairies, where are you planning to descend to Earth? You can go anywhere, wear beautiful clothes just to let people see." Duong Tt was so impatient that she forgot to wear shoes and quickly ran out for everyone to see. Lam Ki looked at himself in the mirror and said to himself, "I didn't expect to be so beautiful." Lukan Ki said dissatisfiedly, "Tan Cam, please help me tie the scarf." Under the reflection of the scarf, her face became more vivid. Only Tan Cam is a little sad because the necklace is usually only used when the weather is cold. Could it be that in such a hot summer, he wears a scarf? 3 girls who knew her frustration immediately surrounded her and helped her put on the scarf. At that time, she had a strange feeling and naturally did not want to resist her friend's teasing. At this moment, a soft cat meowing echoed in her ear. She quickly raised her hand to prevent her friends from putting on their scarves. She quickly told them, "The black treasure came here to find me." After speaking, she ran out to look, but she couldn't find the cat. "Don't you hear the cat?" "I didn't hear anything. Maybe you missed the black treasure like crazy, right?" The thief replied, "No, black treasure came home last night. It's back. Is it really back? Why don't you take it with you?" Luke An Kai asked. "I'm not foolish enough to bring it with me, because if it leaves again, I'll find it out of breath." While emptying the trash can to find black treasure, I met an acquaintance again, which is why he thought she was a trash picker. "Are you guys angry?" Just thinking about this magician catching ghosts, Tan Cam became angry. The 3 of them were stunned for a moment, then burst out laughing. What other superior character dares to see our Tan Cam become a scavenger? Remember to take us to meet him. Tan Cam is still angry. What do you encounter? The uneducated type of person who only knows how to deceive and lie, pretend to be a god, catch ghosts and catch demons. It's best to stay away from him. Is that angry? You probably already have feelings for him, otherwise you wouldn't be that angry. Is he the person you secretly love and miss? Duong Tithi joked. The person you love secretly remembers? Even if I were blind, I wouldn't choose him. Tithi, you know, the person who gave me the nickname was that guy. After listening, Duong Tithi rolled onto the floor and laughed loudly. She teased Tan Cam. It turned out to be an enemy from his previous life, and he even dared to say that he picked up trash. It seems like you two really have a relationship with each other. Tan Cam kicked her and said, "Wake up, it's already dark and you're still lying here laughing at people. Let's go, now it's time for you to show off." Lukonki smiled and carried his bag away. When passing by Lam Kai, she suddenly heard Lam Kai whisper to her, "For some reason I felt cold all over. Isn't it strange to dress so stylishly?" Mr. Ki joked. The 4 of them walked towards the bar together. They put on careful makeup as if they were brave warriors preparing to go to war. The atmosphere in the car was heavy and filled with murderous intent. They vowed to catch and kill any lustful man. Tan Cam, without red fabric as a background, also felt a bit sorry for herself. Seeing her 3 friends carelessly put on makeup and then applaud each other, she became even more depressed. She felt like she was here as a background for them. However, no matter how dissatisfied you are, you can't do anything. It's better to just sit still. When she got out of the car, Tan Cam finally knew what it was like to have hundreds, tens of thousands of eyes watching. No wonder so many people want to be stars, to be loved and admired. The feeling of becoming a public figure, becoming a great focus, all eyes were on them. Lam Kai's graceful rotation also captivates many people. Thithi's armpit cheongsam makes people admire her. In short, they were very successful. They all had the same thought, being admired, so the 4 people smiled and did not answer. When they reached the door, the men stretched out to the sides to make way, and some of them even enthusiastically became their bodyguards. The 4 of them were even more arrogant. Lam Ki lamented, "Before I was called the Queen of Fashion in vain. I have never been so majestic and proud." The number of people coming to see them is increasing. They became treasures of the place. They were viewed from every angle. It seems like this bar was open for them. There are also men who carefully evaluate themselves and find themselves unqualified to pursue them and immediately withdraw. They don't want to be the target of the remaining gentleman's pursuit. People who are determined not to back down are either not rich or more or less familiar with you. The 4 girls are as fresh as flowers. Only Lam Ki did not pay attention to this. Because she had identified her target, her prey had been aiming for a long time. which was the chairman of the board of directors of the largest diamond store in this city. He inherited his ancestral career, is young, handsome, has a lot of wealth, and is amorous. What beauty doesn't want to herd this prey? She had wanted to herd this guy for a long time, but hadn't had the chance. A man like him is also very arrogant. Normally, no matter how beautiful Lam Kai is, he can only look at him twice as much. She gently sat down and waited for him. Unexpectedly, the prey came towards her. Fingers gently brushed her back, nails grazing her back hurt her a bit. In that moment, she was highly stimulated, like a match rubbing against a shell, and just spreading a sound burned out. The breathing between the two seems chaotic. He reached out a gentle arm around her waist and hugged her very tightly, then told her in his very seductive voice, "Be careful not to fall." Those words were as cold as a knife, paralyzing Lam Ki. That person continued, "This place doesn't suit me. There are too many people. Let's find somewhere quiet." She was willing to follow him, filled with happiness. In an instant, Cinderella turned into a princess. She was happy because her beautiful dream had finally come true. She was fascinated by this happiness. She walked gently. Tan Cam and the others were so happy that they forgot to pay attention to her friend. The upper floor of Jimmy's bar is a 5-star hotel. The service staff is very respectful. Looking at the beautiful presidential suite, Lam Ki and the other young man could not suppress their burning desire. They rushed in, entwined with each other. They exchanged hot kisses. Desire controlled them. When she was about to take off her camisole, the young man did not agree. He said that she was very attractive in that outfit. The two rushed at each other. Reaching climax time and time again, they were highly excited, screaming loudly. The whole room was filled with spring love. There were only groans and gasps. When the rain and clouds ended, he gently slid down from Lam Kai's body and said with a gasp, "Until now, I have never felt like this. Making love to you is like integrating into the bodies of two completely different women. You are so unique." Lam Ki smiled. Looks like this young man has taken the bait. She sees no meaning in being the head of an advertising company. Her biggest wish is to marry a rich guy. Seeing Tithi's family background so rich, who wouldn't be jealous or covet it? Lam Ki smiled proudly and then gently touched the camisole shirt. She recognized a beautiful woman as having extraordinary magic. Feeling happy, she immediately finished her glass of wine at the head of the bed and walked into the bathroom. The young man sitting outside looked at her shadow ecstatically. The water in the 5-star hotel shower poured on my body very strongly, feeling comfortable. She didn't want to take off her clothes. The wet shirt stuck to my body. She felt as comfortable as a newly formed layer of skin, gently caressing the shirt. Lam Ki thinks he doesn't know when everything went so smoothly? Maybe since this cloth? She realized the cloth could change her luck. She closed her eyes and remembered the blind old woman, the tailor's mother, thinking to herself, if she had seen such a beautiful camisole, she probably wouldn't have objected so strongly. She stood under the shower, water poured down from above, the whole bathroom was dim, steam slowly surrounded her. Suddenly the water turned cold. She screamed loudly, stepping back. Unable to hold back, she cursed silently. "This is still called a 5-star hotel? It's really nothing. The customer was in the middle of taking a shower. The water turned cold like this. We'll have to reflect on the unattentive waiters later." Lam Ki was both angry and went to get a towel. The wet camisole made her cold. When she turned around, she saw that in the mirror there was blurry steam, as if something was squeezing her body. Looking down in fear, she only saw the camisole. Raising her head, looking in the mirror, she still saw something draped over her body. Looking closely, it turned out to be a person. It seemed like there was a cold air pouring up from below. Horrified, she stood still in place. The cold water kept pouring down, the steam gradually dissipated, and the figure in the mirror gradually appeared. A woman with long hair, her arms draped over her neck, her legs hugged her waist, her whole body was red. Lam Kai slowly raised his hand to touch it. It was not an illusion. She felt that his hands were both warm, smooth, cold, and very familiar. This woman is the red camisole? A scary question flashed. That's right, its arms were 2 shirt straps draped over her neck. Its legs hugged her waist, and its head snuggled deep into her chest. She had never been as scared as she was right now, wanting to cry but couldn't because his hands kept clenching at her neck, choking her, wanting to run but not being able to run because his legs were tightly wrapped around her legs. She bent down in despair to look and saw his head snuggling against her chest, his long hair wet and his red bare skin covered in fresh blood. At this moment, the woman burying her head in her chest gradually held her head high. She couldn't take her eyes off it, her face buried in the black hair gradually revealed. Fresh blood poured out from both eye sockets. It has no eyes. This is Lamkai's last thought. That bloody face was smirking at her. The sound of water flowing from the fence still echoed from the bathroom. The young man had been waiting for a long time and still hadn't seen Lamkai come out, looking impatient. The excitement of the strange girl made him spin. Gently pushing open the bathroom door, he saw Lamki wearing a wet camisole. She was bending over the sink to wash something. Long hair fell down to cover her face, her lower body was naked. He gently walked up behind Lamkai, hugging her waist. Right now, she looked so sexy, he couldn't resist the burning fire of love. Continuing to put his hand under her body, he said deliriously, "My darling, what are you doing?" His hand touched something very smooth and round, curiously withdrawing his hand to see what it was, but at a glance he stiffened his whole body. A human eye. The white part was flushed and swollen, the pupils were still black. Under the daylight, it lit up, looking at him with hatred. He screamed as he looked into Lamkai's hand. In her hand was the remaining eye being washed under the faucet. Her fingers gently caressed the eye in the tub. Under her hand, and with the force of the water, it looked strangely alive, as if it were in an eye socket. However, his eyes kept looking at him vengefully. He stood in fear like heaven. Lamki slowly turned around. His eye sockets were bleeding. His face was covered in blood and kept dripping into his camisole. Strangely emotionless, she slowly raised her hand towards his mouth and replied, "Wash your eyes." The eyes in her hand were slippery, just about to drift towards his lips. He no longer reacted, only knowing that the two eyes that had been gouged out by Lamki himself kept staring at him. Lamki raised her right hand. In her hand was a toothbrush. She used force to break it in two. The young man intended to run away, but now it was too late. He could no longer see the camisole, but instead was the long-haired, bloody woman squeezing Lamkai's jade neck. Its arms crossed the back of her neck. Its legs clung tightly to her waist, its head buried deep in her round breasts, its hair like a rattan tree wrapped around her body. He raised his middle finger and right index finger, constantly gouging out his eyes in the air. While terrified, he suddenly felt a sharp pain. The broken toothbrush in Lamki's hand poked his left eye, fresh blood spilled out, and he fell to the ground. Lamki rushed forward, sat on him, gently gouged out his eyes, gouged out and whispered to the beat of grope, gouge, gouge. His remaining eye saw the woman clinging to Lamkai's chest slowly,